Howdy. And vaults. The most iconic thing about the Fallout franchise, right behind the thick boys and 16 times the detail. Seriously, man, what were they thinking when they did that? But yeah, in case you didn't know, the vaults are massive underground bunkers made by a company called Vault-Tec, and they were to be used in case of a nuclear fallout. And spoiler alert, there was a nuclear fallout. Get it? And surprise, surprise, a giant corporation did not have the people's best interest in mind, because these vaults were actually, how do I put this? Awful? No, nightmare-inducing? Closer, but, unfathomably inhuman experimental chambers of torture. That's better. And we are going to rank all of these vaults from worst to best, because I have ranked a mountain of things so far in Skyrim, so I believe I'm pretty freaking qualified for this. Now, a quick note about the rankings. These are ranked based on how interesting and unique they are, not how easy or hard they were to live in. So if there was a vault that made people sleep on hibernating bears, that is a horrifying concept to live in, but it's also super fun and interesting, so that's gonna go pretty high on the list. And also, these are my opinion. We all have a different idea of what's interesting or not, but my opinion matters more, because I'm internet video man, so let's get into this. Vault 36 was only briefly mentioned in a book called the Fallout Bible. Basically, these people were only given watery gruel to eat. So basically Burger King. That's all we know. And seeing where this might be going, I'm kinda glad that's all we know. Vault 42 was another one from the Fallout Bible. Basically, they were only given really dim light bulbs. That's all we know again, but they probably turned into the Falmer or something like that. Again, Vault 53 is another one from the Fallout Bible. Basically, all we know is that the technology in this vault was designed to break down often and annoyingly so. That's about it. And seeing how I get extremely frustrated when I don't get the USB to go in on the first try, I would probably prefer the nukes. Vault 70 is beyond boring. Basically, these people's suits were designed to fail after only 6 months, similar to how iPhones work. But as far as we know, this had no lasting ramifications or any lasting effects whatsoever on the people. Eventually, the people actually left and founded New Jerusalem. That's it. Vault 88 was incomplete, but was still kind of working, I guess. They were basically just made to make the other stuff for the other vaults. Beyond boring but necessary for all the horrible torture that went on, this was basically their construction area to make this stuff they needed. Vault 27 is also very simple. They simply just shoved twice as many people as it was supposed to have. That's literally all we know, as it was another mention in the Fallout Bible. But sadly, that's all we know, nothing else. Vault 55 and 56 are connected to each other, but we still know very little about these vaults. They were simply designed as a joke by Bethesda. Bethesda wanted to get funny with a vault, because 55 had all their entertainment possible removed. But Vault 56 was the exact same way, except for the videos of a really horrible comedian. And the people at Vault-Tec said that they assumed that Vault 56 would destroy itself before 55, basically saying the comedian would drive them to craziness before no entertainment whatsoever. The comedian was probably Amy Schumer or something, but that's all we know. Vault 13 was the original vault we ever saw back in Fallout 1. This one had a very simple directive: stay shut for 200 years, which was way longer than any of the other vaults really, and see if the people turned into John Goodman from 10 Cloverfield Lane. But then there was a water chip issue, so the player that you play as in Fallout 1 had to venture out of the vault earlier than expected to get a new one. Simple but effective, I guess. Vault 92 had the idea of throwing a bunch of musicians in a hole in the ground and secretly trying to get them to murder each other with their violins. Yeah, they slowly worked in white noise that would drive these people insane, and for some reason they were musicians. Vault 17 just yoinked a bunch of people and turned them into super mutants. That's all we know. Poor Jimmy. No, really, that's one of the characters' names in the story, Jimmy. But hey, super mutants are extremely important, so knowing how they came from and the origins of them is really interesting, I guess, so we got some bonus points. And Vault 97 was basically the same thing as 17. Vault 114 is basically the definition of a power fantasy. They took a bunch of rich, wealthy, and powerful people and put them under the leadership of an everyman, just your standard guy. And the rich people were given poverty lives in the vault, so the flip was script. A guy who didn't have a lot of money was now the head of the entire vault, and all the rich and powerful people people were now poor. We do not know the outcome. That sounds like a fun story, but we don't know any story involved with it. We just know the idea of the vault. Okay, so Vault-Tec must have been running low on ideas because Vault 43 is 12 men, 10 women, and a freaking panther. Yes, you heard that right, a panther. That's literally all we know, but I'm giving it bonus points because that's freaking hilarious, dude. Just threw a panther in a room with people and just said, okay, let's see what happens. You didn't need a vault for that, dude. The Los Angeles vault is really unique amongst the horde of standard torture ones. Basically, this was the prototype vault before any other vaults were made. This was used to prove the concept that the vaults could work, which was probably, it was like most definitely a bad thing that it did work. But because of this, the people inside were not experimented on. So they didn't have their fingers cut off or saying curse words or anything like that. And eventually, the main villain and his posse take it over from Fallout 2. It's very unique and has a really cool history because this vault is extremely important in Fallout 2, and what happens after they leave the vault is very interesting. Now, I need to emphasize something really fast before we talk about this next entry. This is not a joke. I did not write this to be funny. This is real canon lore, okay? I did not just come up with this as a joke. Vault 68 is one woman with 999 men, and Vault 69 is one man and 999 women. I'm not gonna make any jokes or say anything. You already know the joke. For Vault 12, Vault-Tec basically just said, Okay. What if we just didn't shut the door? And so they didn't, and everyone eventually turned into ghouls. But the smart kind, not the sloppy. Sloppy. I meant to write slappy, but it autocorrected to sloppy. But yeah, they eventually left and actually founded a city. And they were very prosperous, actually. Until they weren't, but who cares? It's a neat idea. Vault 81 was basically like, humans? Oh, you mean rats? Simply put, everyone who was unfortunate enough to be put down here was locked in there with a ton of people who lost every single screw that was keeping their mind together. These nut jobs were also scientists. So they experimented and poked and prodded the poor dwellers. Much more detail. This story is very interesting and a very long story. Much more than I can go over here. Go to the wiki and read the story. It's really interesting. Vault 8 is very unique. Why? Well, this vault was, it went perfectly, like beyond perfect. They emerged in less than 10 years and had 0 issues, eventually opening an entire city called Vault City and having medical advancements far greater than anywhere else in the entire world. I don't think they realize how lucky they really are. I just put it this high because I'm kind of honestly astonished that something went that good. The inhabitants of Vault 3 are proof that sometimes caution is a good thing. Why? Well, these people were just a kind of a normal vault and they were supposed to open the door, but they kind of assumed that the whole world was a flaming dumpster. It was. Anyways, they opened the door when they had a water leak, and so they were basically forced to open the door even though they didn't want to. But instead of finding food, they found a bunch of drug-addicted bricklickers, and they ran in there and murdered every last one of them. That could have gone better. In case you didn't know yet, Vault-Tec is incredibly evil. Vault 95 got a bunch of drug addicts and made them go cold turkey in the vault. They were getting much better, actually. They were all recovering until Vault-Tec opened a crate full of drugs. Almost all of them relapsed instantly and the vault obviously collapsed. Talk about heartless. Vault 111 had an awesome outcome, but the idea itself was kind of bland. Just cryo-freeze people and examine them. It's boring, but it led to the entire plot of Fallout 4, and stuff went wrong and a lot of people died, but the main character survived for way longer than he was supposed to. I'm giving this bonus points because we get to actually see the entrance of the vault and everything involving how the vaults function. It's still pretty boring though. Vault 21 is about luck. So hopefully you rolled a luck build because any and all conflicts were resolved by gambling. Eventually, Mr. House from Fallout New Vegas got a pretty big win and won the whole vault. The house always wins. He turned it into a hotel inside of New Vegas, because of course he did. Vault 34 is basically the US military, meaning they had enough guns and explosives to blow up the moon. And on top of that, they slowly leaked in radiation, so people would start to go a little cuckoo. So yeah, pew pew, boom boom, a lot of dead dwellers. But some actually got out and eventually established the boomers, where they got even more explosive by just randomly coming across a giant military base. Funny how that works. The writers for Vault 19 must have been huge fans of Halo, because basically the people in here were divided into 2 groups, red and blue. And just like Halo, Halo, yeah, they all killed each other. Vault-Tec basically convinced them to do so very slowly through small means. So it wasn't the Vault Dwellers' fault. Slowly throwing in white noise and paranoia agents to make people change their mind and think that the other team was out to get them. Vault 18 is again, surprise, surprise, a test gone horribly wrong. This was supposed to be a mix of two previous vaults, red versus blue and the rich and poor one. But the rich people said screw that and implanted their brains into robo-brains, making those super creepy abominations. Ugh. Vault 96 was made with good intentions actually. That's more surprising than the fact that that Guardians of the Galaxy game was actually good. So this vault had enough material and living organisms to fix the ecosystem of 5 different areas. This would be massive for recovery for the world. This would bring back natural vegetation and natural wildlife, so humans could adapt to the world better and rebuild easier. Didn't work out, but still this was a good change of pace compared to Panthers. Vault 94 basically grabbed a bunch of people of different religions and told them to get along. And, well, we know how this, we know how it works out. It actually worked out. Yes, it actually worked out. Everything went perfectly fine. Everything went so good that they all got along and they became like a perfect community in the vault. No one expected this. They eventually actually opened the doors because they wanted to bring their newfound world peace to the rest of the world. But the world said, haha, nah, and blew them all up. They all died. Now it's time for Vault 76. I wonder what game that's from. But it actually had a noble goal. Leave after 25 years and recolonize Appalachia. Huh. That's very nice. That's actually very nice, you know, for Vault-Tec. Oh wait, the Overseer had a secret mission involving nukes. Oh, Vault-Tec. Not saying anything else because that will spoil the entire game of Fallout 76. But yes, it's very interesting when you get into the dirty of it, when you get into the game and read all the logs and stuff. The story is actually interesting involving Vault 76. Vault 101 is very interesting. Basically, these people were told that the world was uninhabitable and that they were the only humans left. So they were meant to stay forever down in the vault, forever, never leave. Other than the Overseer, who knew the truth and would secretly leave often to take a peek at the world how it really was. And then that torch would be passed on to the next Overseer. But the main character you play in Fallout 3 leaves to find his daddy, who was the Overseer, who disappeared way longer than he was supposed to. But still, this is a very interesting concept. Vault 15 basically grabbed a bunch of Karens and Subway employees and threw them into the same room. People of very different ideals together in a whole. And this is the vault that probably had the longest, most complex backstory out of any vault. The story for this vault is freaking bonkers. Go to the wiki and read it if you want to have a really fun short story. Heck, the dwellers from this vault eventually formed the Great Khans, the Vipers, and other small groups like that, and even eventually formed the New California Republic. Yes, this is where those people came from. Okay, Vault 51. Vault 51 has an incredibly complex and detailed backstory, just like the previous vault we talked about. Basically, it was meant to test human tribalism. They assigned an experimental AI to be over the entire vault, so they wouldn't have an overseer, they would have an AI looking over them. And of course, AI did what AI do and went haywire. Now, I do not have the time to even attempt to go over all the crazy detail. Let's just say that one guy survived out of the entire vault. Again, it's a very fun short story, so go to the wiki. Vault 22 actually wasn't evil or malicious. Some of these vaults ain't super evil, but 90% of them are. They just wanted to develop plants that could survive without sunlight. It had a really cool goal. Didn't work. Yeah, the plants mutated and basically infected the dwellers, making spore monsters. And the ones who escaped the vault were infected already and ended up spreading it to the public. So, that could have gone better. They basically created a zombie virus except with plants. It's super unique though, but, and it had the falling out is just wrong, but nothing goes right in this world, so it kind of fits. Sometimes the unexpected is hilarious, as is Vault 108. This was supposed to be a conflict of leadership. There was an overseer who was terminally ill. He was supposed to die in 40 days, and then they were going to see what happened and see how the community formed new leadership. But the inhabitants instead discovered cloning technology and made 55 Garys. freaks that went violent and ran around killing mostly everyone. And anyone who escaped just never came back because it was now a vault full of Garys. That's just funny. I had to give it points because that's just funny. Vault 106 went about as horrible as a vault could go. They pumped a bunch of hallucinogenic drugs into the air, and as you would expect, people freaked out and everyone died. But the aftermath is the really interesting and funny part. Scavengers who would go down into the vault for loot would, instead of finding loot, they found a bunch of hallucinogenic drugs still in the air, and they would start to hallucinate that they were the original dwellers still living in the vault that was still functional. So the vault is full of a bunch of random people who are hallucinating that they're vault dwellers and the vault's still locked. Vault 77 is another funny one. It's very cruel but very funny. They threw a single sad soul into the vault with a bunch of puppets. He of course started to go Tom Hanks, but this one had a happy ending actually. He leaves and befriends a giant ant. You can actually read this in a comic form. This is actually a short comic that Bethesda released. So it's unique because you actually get to read through the story rather than just reading it on a computer. You can see the pictures. And having a happy ending is the most unique thing amongst these vaults. As an example of how horrible it could go, we have Vault 75. This is the definition of how scary vault tech can be and how truly evil they were. So this vault is also very complicated. Basically, this was the testing and breeding grounds to heighten humanity to a new level. They basically experimented on kids and isolated them from the actual scientists because they were trying to develop superhumans. They wanted to make these people superhuman physically and mentally by selective breeding. If the kids reached the age of 18 and didn't meet standards, they were taken behind the woodshed, and the survivors would become the next scientists, making the scientists smarter for the next level of breeding. It goes way deeper, but let's just say this one is stupid unique and very detailed and extremely sad, and it is honestly, without a doubt, the darkest vault in terms of story. All the other vaults are just like, let's throw a panther in there. This one actually gets really deep into like psychological issues. So you know the Matrix? Yeah, that's basically Vault 112. 85 people were thrown into a virtual reality pod, and the lead scientist who was supposed to just monitor them basically got a massive god complex and Groundhog Day'd all the people for his amusement. He would go in there, kill them, reset the day and reset their memory and kill them again. And he would just do whatever he wanted to because he just wanted to keep toying with these poor people. Man, it's getting late. Vault 29 is super complicated actually. It was supposed to be the Lord of the Flies. Basically no one over the age of 15. And they were supposed to be raised by robots. But a scientist lady hacked in to raise the kids because she didn't want them to be raised by robots. But this had a very unexpected side effect. The kids saw her as a god. And after she died, the dwellers eventually grew up and left the vault. And they established a city above the vault. And to this day, they worship the idea of the voice lady. Now, Vault 111 is the one I have as the best vault on the list. It is the example of a vault so horrible to live in, I would rather gargle nails. But one with an amazing story and premise. Again, this is basically a short story if you want to read it on the wiki. Basically, the inhabitants had to choose one person to sacrifice each year, or that life support in the vault would be cut off. But plot twist, if they denied to do it, then ding ding ding, we have a winner, you can all go free. It was basically a test, and it was supposed to be proof that humans were really cool and awesome and would refuse to kill people, just refuse to kill people. There's supposed to be proof. This was supposed to be like, humans are awesome. They didn't kill somebody and now you're free to go. The humans failed. It is a massive story, but let's just say afterwards there were only 5 remaining people, and I don't want to spoil the end of it because it has a really satisfying ending. And that's it for the ranking. Vault-Tec is basically a supervillain as a company, but still this was super fun to research and make. I hope you enjoyed it. Check out my new video about Fallout New Vegas because it's funny and like no one watched it, and I put a lot of effort into it, so I'm not above peddling my own crap. Now I'm gonna go back to playing Elden Ring because holy crap, am I really wanting to do that. That game is so good. Anyways, thanks guys. See ya.